glad that I am. So I've been asked to talk about our year in Lean. So I'm going to try and give you a bit of a whistle-stop tour through it. I'm trying to explain what we've worked on, what we've achieved, both for the benefit of this crowd, more importantly, what we've learned along the way. So context, Taranto is a construction company. We are specialists in geotechnical work, binding work, foundations, and precast concrete. We're a vertically integrated company. So we design, we manufacture, and we install on sites over the UK and Ireland the vast majority of what we make. And what that means is that we have several pit faces. We have several gambas, and that creates its own challenges for implementing and changing your lean culture and your lean initiatives. For further context, my industry, construction, the only industry I've ever been in, is inherently wasteful. Unbelievably wasteful. It's dominated by engineers. That's no slight on engineers at all. It's male dominated, and it's an old industry, which means that it has a very strong dominant logic. We do what we do because we've always done it that way. It's incredibly strong in construction. We're hardwired to hit program dates. We're hardwired to avoid costly penalties. So what do we do when a defect turns up? What do we do when an opportunity of improvement arises? We ignore it and we throw money and resources at our dominant logic of hitting program dates. And thereby we create more waste. We create more waste and we never stop and reflect to try and get rid of that waste. Now, Taranto, we've been involved in Lean for, as Aidan said, 4 or 5 years now. But this is the year where we really got hold of it. This is the year where we really made big changes with Lean and made Lean central to our culture and to our operations. Any of you who have ever been involved in construction will look at the left-hand side and go, yeah, that's pretty normal. That was us 2 years ago. That's our on a factory 2 years ago. That's how we keep it on the right-hand side. Similarly, in construction, any of you have ever been to a building site will look at the left-hand side and go, I've seen worse. But that's how it needs to be on the right-hand side. Now, if I ever need any more enthusiasm or encouragement to stay on this journey, to stay on this lean journey, and to remind myself of what my industry is, it was presented to me a couple of days ago when I was driving up through Sligo. I stopped at a petrol station. This particular petrol station is having a refurb at the moment, and there's some plumbers doing some work. And as I walked into the petrol station, I just happened to walk past the back of a particular plumber's van, busy doing his day's work, busy doing his plumbing work, and that was his van. That is not unusual. That is not unusual in construction. I'm pleased to say it's not one of our vans. But if I went around the company, I could probably see a smaller example of it. So that's what we're pushing against all the time. So, a year in Lean. Where did we start? I'd say we've been working on Lean for 3 or 4 years, but this is really the year we got the message out and made a big change. And we started by setting our own unique message, our own unique Lean culture and Lean message. This graphic here, which might be difficult for you to read at the back, is what we call our Lean pizza. There's 6 guiding principles in there, 5 of which will be very familiar to any of you who have come across Lean so far. 2-step Lean, 8 wastes, power of 3S, fix what bugs you, leave it better than you found it. All very familiar, all very powerful. But the one that's unique to us is set, check, celebrate. I was lucky enough to go to Japan about a year and a quarter ago, did the Paul Akers tour on a visit to a post office, sawing office. I noticed something that they were doing, that there was every vehicle before it left every single morning went through a 58-point check. And that vehicle did not leave until that 58-point check was completed. Those 58 points were the points that were most likely to cause struggle, most likely to prevent that delivery round not happening. So the brakes were checked, the wipers were checked, the oil was checked, the indicators were checked. Anything that was likely to cause, a crash or for the vehicle to break down, the most likely things were checked every single day. And the driver's capability was also checked. And all this was observed by the yard manager. So a standard was set and a standard was checked. And only when the standard was achieved and checked was it celebrated. And it literally was that as the vehicle walked out, the yard manager, who watched 120 vehicles go out every single day, to give a high five. And that made me think back to my own industry, where we have pioneer rigs like the one that showed at the start and an awful lot of plant. And we have planned maintenance sheets, and we've had them forever and I. And what do? What tends to happen is that the foreman will sit there, and I've got a bit of spare time now, so I'll catch up on my maintenance, and he'll fill the paperwork in, and he'll do 6 weeks worth of maintenance, and he'll hand it into the office, and that would be audited, and our paperwork would be fine. But the plant hasn't changed one bit. So the standard that we were checking was the wrong one. We were checking the paperwork and not actually whether we're carrying out the maintenance on the plant. So we brought this back from Japan, this check, celebrate, that if there's no standard, if you have not set a standard for a process, don't expect anybody to follow it, because you can't check it. And only when the two go together can you celebrate and move on. So taking our message, taking our culture, we then started really getting into the educational side. We'd had lean meetings before, they were a little bit ad hoc, they kind of started and they stopped. This year, they started and they never finished. And one of the nicer things about them is that they evolved, they grew naturally. So this is one of our first few lean meetings. We have them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We started with a pretty small group, doing stretches and wondering where to go next. And organically, within a couple of months, the meeting grew. Here we are educating one another about what an Ono circle is and how we can use an Ono circle and what, where we're going to use it. And then, lo and behold, within the year, that's our lean meeting. It's down in the Gamba. It's everybody. It's absolutely everybody. We've got steel tips to join us, all involved, all talking about it, all educating one another. And as I said at the start, I want to share what we've learned during this. And what we've really learned this year through education, through morning meetings, is that people want this. People really want this. And I've often heard people say on our lean journeys, where do you start? People aren't going to want this. My colleagues will push back. People genuinely want it. If you give them the tools, if you give them a place to be, if you give them some mild encouragement, they will jump on. We have had so little pushback. We've had so little cynicism in the company. It's almost baffling. To such an extent that if you told me 2 years ago that a construction company, steel pips, and joiners and hard-nosed guys who've been out on site all their life, and it is predominantly men, would be doing stretches and yoga and educating one another and openly turning up on time and being engaged in meetings, I wouldn't believe you, but it's real, and it didn't take too much of a push. During the year, we've also commissioned, which is probably our largest investment that we've made in the last decade, which is a concrete slip former. Now, admittedly, this idea was planned before this year, but this is the year that our 150 metre long concrete slip former came to life. And the glory of the timing of it is that it got commissioned during this year where we really focused on lean. So we would have built that machine before and put it in as a bunch of engineers, a bunch of construction guys, turned it on and got it working. But what we've been able to do this year is install it and commission it completely through the lens of lean. So as we were putting it in, we could look at the 8 wedges, we could stand back and we could lean every element of it, every process of it as we went along. We do gamble walks on it. We regularly do gamble walks on it. We didn't know what they were a while back. We have Ono circle time on it. A year ago, we wouldn't have dreamed of doing that. And each one of those, every time we do that, we improve the process. We remove the waste. We're just constantly just removing the waste and improving the process. And we have daily Gamba meetings. We wouldn't have dreamed of having meetings, a daily meeting on the Gamba about what we're going to do this day. We would just ploughed on because that's the hard wire of construction. We also, through the year, we sent a message. We sent a message internally. And I suppose the message was to look lean before we are lean, to dress for the job that you want. So before, don't wait until we are lean to say that we're lean. Like just look lean, and then we'll figure out as we go. So across the office, we removed all our old clunky furniture. We decluttered the place. We created stand-up meetings everywhere. Our old meeting rooms that you sit down in are barely used now. And not by, say, telling people that you can't use it, just people naturally go to the place that's lean. As I say again, people want this. Leaving it better than you found it, just instantly just bought in. Once we decluttered the place, everybody has maintained a standard without too much of a push. Just, it kind of brought respect. People brought their own respect. One fueled the other. But what did we learn? Sorry, that's not a thought. It's actually a positive. We learned by doing this is that people do need constant reassurance. As managers, as the leaders of your company, you do need to give constant reassurance that lean is not a fad. in your business. That if somebody gets involved today, buys into it, drinks the Kool-Aid, that in a year's time their efforts are forgotten about and we've moved on to the next new thing. Do you need reassurance that it's fad, not fad, or not a cult, as this room might suggest? So you kind of have to keep going on with the message. And the message we used was, it's lean or nothing. This company has no plan B. There is no U-turn. And that sounds quite draconian. But people bought into it. I thought, okay, yeah, well, if he's saying that and the other managers are saying that's true. It's true. I can get involved and my time and effort will not be wasted. As the year has progressed and everybody's bought on with that, we've kind of moved our goal a little bit again. And we've set ourselves a new target to be the leanest construction company on the island of Ireland. No small goal. We will hit it. It will take some time. And on the way there, we'll play our part in making Ireland the next Japan. One of the biggest projects we took on was an absolutely ginormous 3Sing project. We are blessed and cursed in equal measures with a pretty large facility. It's 25 acres and the company is about 35 years old. So there's huge areas of our facility that had decades of waste in them. Decades. So we removed with 3S huge areas. We removed 250 tons of scrap steel. We crushed 200 tons of defective or redundant concrete. And we just closed areas off, just got everything out of them for the sake of doing it, for the sake of looking lean and being lean. And then once we, with some, where's Ryan? With some encouragement and advice from Ryan, helped no end to kick that on. And when we did those areas, we just closed them off. You know, what the hell do you do that for? You lean this area, now you just closed it off. Because what we learned while on our lean journey is that big is bad. We used to think that our 25 acre was a blessing. And after a while, you start thinking it's a blessing and a curse. We've got a lot of room, so we can do lots of things that our competitors can't. And things get a bit messy, and you can leave that there, and it's never in anybody's way. So a bit of insight from Ryan. We said, okay, let's 3S these areas and then get smaller. Make the whole place smaller. And that's something that we've been doing all year long. We are actively making our whole working place smaller, which means that we have less places to hide. Waste cannot be hidden around the corner. It's there front and center. More concrete. Also, this is the year that we rolled out. We really started to try and look at defects and opportunities for improvement. Again, construction is not particularly blessed with the ability to be reflective. So this is another request. Kai's on me in, and we got this group together to talk about a precast unit, about 2.5 ton that had been made incorrectly, and we want to get to the bottom of why it had been made incorrectly. And a bunch of smiling faces, everybody turns up, everybody engaged, we're all left to talk about it. And what did we learn through the years? To have the right people in the right room. That is not the right people in the right room. You've got 7 engineers in there to talk about something that none of them made. Try best. That's what our Kaizen meetings now look like. Down at the Gamba, the people involved, the Gamba workforce, couple of 1 or 2 engineers, and actually getting into it of what went wrong, what can be improved, how we use this as an opportunity. We've also learned that over the course of the year, lean can get a little stale. If you keep having the same meetings, if you keep having the same message, people will naturally switch off. So we've developed a few little tricks and tips along the way just to try and keep engagement together. Those of you who are my age will remember that TV show on the far side of 3-2-1. Those of you younger than me, ask your parents. And it's basically 3-2-1. We say 3-2-1 ad hoc during the course of the month. We get people together in our daily meeting and say, okay, right, 3-2-1, you've got 2 weeks to do this. And what the plan is that 2 of you from the office, 2 managers or 2 engineers, 2 people from the office, get up and they go and engage with 1 person from the Gamba. And in a space of 2 weeks, you come up with 3 improvement videos based on the Gamba. And what that was designed to do was to break down barriers, to get people up and from the desk and go down to the Gamba. Go be at the Gamba and work there. Stop tidying your desk. That's another improvement. Go down and talk to the Gamba. That worked really well. I'd say for every improvement that we got out of the 3-2-1, we then got more subsequent videos because improvements beget improvements. But what that really brought about was a heightened level of empowerment for the people who do work in the Gamba. And we've been walking around all year saying, you are empowered to do this, you were empowered to make that improvement, you were empowered to make that improvement. Never really happened. But when we brought down mileage and said, okay, we'll boat you, how can we fix it? Let's have a look at your work area. How can we improve this? And then went away and helped them do that. Then next thing you know, people feel empowered and more improvements came. 100% Jeopardy is similar. Morning meeting comes and ad hoc, we'll just, okay, today we're doing 100% Jeopardy. And that's just where we get into a group of 3. We'll put on a song, and for the length of that song, in your little groups, talk about any chosen change point that you want to talk about. Song finishes, and I'll pick 1 or 2 groups. Just 1 or 2, and that's the Jeopardy about it. Nobody knows who's going to get picked. That group has to talk to the rest of the group about that 100% moment, about that change point. They have to talk about what it involves, what's the change, what's the struggle, what's the jeopardy, who needs to know, what could go well, how can it be managed better. And that was designed to get people talking about change points, to be more open about change points, and also to make sure that they're prepared, involved, alive and awake for the morning meeting. What that really brought about was a heightened sense of struggle. The 8 wastes are easy enough to see. We've got posters all around the place talking about the 8 wastes, but what that really brought about was a heightened ability to see struggle. When people talk to one another more often, then you can see that, well, if I change this, I'm putting struggle for you. If you change that, I'm putting struggle for this. And without the conversation, that never came about. I'm giving you a bit of a hurry up here. I'm going to whistle through these. This is all really quick anyway. A bunch of things that we got through. And to Aidan's point of what you can achieve in a year. Autocost, we rolled out an AI estimating tool. Continuous, we rolled out an AI accounting tool so that you don't have to be uploading invoices and anymore. Kanbans, we built 5. We introduced Gemba docs and gave company-wide training. We rolled out a bunch of Power Automate apps on planning and maintenance principle. On the production. No more paper and wasted motion back and forth. We developed our own lean principles. We set a target of doing 4 lean tours. We did 11. We have Kaizen meetings, we use Stream Decks, we introduced 3S in time, we have Gemba Walks, we have time in the Ono Circle, we've developed the lean team, we've established example areas, start having fast bike stations, created tens of areas of total ownership owned by tens of different employees. But most importantly, we have created total engagement with the entire workforce in production, in sales, in operations, and remotely. We've got everybody involved in lean. A couple of before and afters because everybody likes them. That's what an example area looks like. That's what our woodshop used to look like. That's what it looks like now. And the rest of the company follows that. Similarly, that's what it used to look like. That's where every other part of the company has to be formed like that. Everything having a place, everything in its place. Struggle removed. This I just want to talk about. This is respect. So before, again, construction company, before we set up the lean, every one of those power tools every day would have been locked up and nobody got anywhere near it. If you want a power tool, you have to go speak to a supervisor. He'll go and lock it. He'll give it to you at the end of the day, put it away again. No respect. Treat everybody like a thief. We've got everything out in the open. Everything out in the open. And they're there every day. And to this day, and by the way, there's about 4 other stations like that. So 4 times that amount of power tools around the place. Not one of them has been misplaced. Not one of them has been lost on a Friday afternoon and found in a market somewhere. Total respect. By treating people with respect, more respect for the company has come through. I want to leave you with this. When you think your lean journey has got somewhere, you then say this. And I challenge any one of you to think of a better way of moving a wheelbarrow than 2 people carrying it. You kind of think you're getting somewhere. Now, the photograph is genuine, and it is in our shed. It's about 18 months old. The reason I share it is it's about a mindset. 2 years ago, I and my colleagues would have looked at me and said, in the construction language, "That's the lads, we have to do a bit of work. Taking a wheelbarrow, some concrete around to do something like that." But look at them, they're busy, they're working, they're not there smoking a fire playing on the phone, they're busy, they're working, and great. A year ago, we looked at that with a spirit of looking through the 8 wastes and go, 2 people, 1 wheelbarrow, there's at least 100% wastage of motion there. Can we get rid of that? Where we are now, and I'm incredibly proud of this, is that company-wide, everybody would look at that photograph in Taranto and wouldn't see the people that go, does the process even need a wheelbarrow? Start with the wheelbarrow, not the people. People ain't doing anything wrong. I've absolutely finished with this. You're all invited to a tour down in Saint-Gergy. Please come. We offer you the best scone that you will ever have in your life. I know Seton Mars would probably argue with that, but it's a bit of a challenge. And also, we charge for our tours, but you only pay. You decide whether you pay or not. You only pay, we can provide you with some genuine benefit if you get some takeaways from it. So to make it easier for this cluster to exist, to make it easier to share back and forth, please come do a talk. Truth and told, you will only talk. Come do a talk. You're all very welcome. If it's value, then you pay for it. Thank you very much.